Sometimes we just want to go back. We want to see if the game we loved was a real love or a capsule of a time period and just a bunch of nostalgia, or is it truly the gem we remember it as? Playing EverQuest on Live has many benefits, but feeling like it did back in the day is not one of them. Fortunately, as I'm sure you know, we have the option to play EverQuest P99, which is an officially sanctioned private server that allows us to play EverQuest as it once was. I've been playing Joe Leonard's Never Grind online lately, which he is developing, videos on that incoming, and a link to the project in the description down below, but it got my juices flowing and I wanted to play some P99. So I fired it up, link in the description for the easiest download and install of EverQuest P99 by the way. Head to the video link that I have down below and check its description for everything, all the files, everything you need to get going. And now let's see what happened on my first night as Drankendor the Dwarf in EverQuest P99. So I fired up a dwarf on the green server on EverQuest P99 and began stumbling my way through Kaladim, trying to remember where the zone line was to enter Butcher Block, and eventually found my way. First thing I noticed, and let me know in the comments if you know what I mean, the game somehow looks more crisp and the textures more vivid in P99 than on EverQuest Live. It could be my imagination and the culmination of the classic music and knowing what I was in for, or it could somehow look different because of the changes that have happened over the years on the live side. But once out in Butcher Block, I found someone's dead corpse immediately and cried before it, and then I started doing what any good level 1 dwarf would do. I started killing some low level mobs, and then quickly learned my lesson and got slaughtered by a level 2 spider that poisoned me. And after recovering all my starter equipment from my corpse, decided to start pressing C to con things before I willy-nilly start attacking them. This is EverQuest P99 after all, and it's time to start behaving like it. So more carefully now, I start killing a ton of mobs that I hope will drop gear and fat loots, such as the goblin whelps and the skeletons, and of course I'm resting in between to stay alive. Then I took a second to admire and appreciate the stone dwarf carving atop the entrance to Kaladim, and thought to myself, why don't they make MMOs this good anymore? Then I remember that Visionary Rounds is making an MMO this good, called Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and we are a day closer to that launch, and so I kill lots more mobs in celebration. I realize my inventory is already full, and so I head back into Kaladim and find the closest merchant to sell my goods to, and long for some bags so I can expand my inventory. Back out in Butcher Block as I'm slaughtering my way through and returning back to town, saving up my coin for those bag upgrades, I think about the simplicity of the fun I am having. Norath is dangerous, and it takes some patience to med between fights. It takes some time to get used to the outdated UI, sure, but this magic is all gathered here in this game because of some of the inconvenience. It's the combination of knowing that it will take a long time to get to the max level, and I may never reach it on P99, that I'll need friends to go deep into the dungeons, and that I'll probably be trained and die at some point, actually probably several points in my journey, that I'm not going to remember how to get from point A to point B sometimes, and I don't have a map. I don't even have a compass. EverQuest P99 still uses the, in my opinion, dreaded sense heading, and I'm not going to be getting epic upgrades to gear very often. But when I do get it, it will be that much more exciting. The graphics have a charm to them, sure, but it's certainly outdated. But the attention to atmosphere and sound effects and those old school songs, I mean, come on, they're so intoxicating. And there are plenty of other people playing on the server enjoying these same addicting qualities. When EverQuest was made, it was from a place of a deep love for Dungeons and Dragons and trying to create a world that people could live out their fantasy life. And for over 20 years, people have done just that. It's amazing to behold and so much more clear when you're playing on the P99 server, much more clear than even on the TLP servers on EverQuest Live. Real quick before we continue, I want to give a major shout out to the members of Napalm. Thanks to their contributions, I can get the equipment and gear that I need to keep this channel ticking, covering MMOs, RPGs, and of course, puppets. If you're interested in becoming a member of Napalm, please click the join button down below. It would be greatly appreciated. And a very special major shout out to the Lords of Napalm, Bounty Code, We Toke Bitcoins, Jared Woodhouse, Daimlos, and Farthest Reach. Thank you for your highest tier membership. Now onto the video. Recently, a commenter on my channel mentioned, why doesn't Daybreak or Darkpaw, whatever you want to call them, release a real classic server like P99? They would print money, and it's a good question. Surely, at the very least, they could hire on this team that did P99, even take on the server into their official fold, even if that meant that classic EverQuest had its own launcher. It's actually just a big mystery to me why they wouldn't do this. It just simply makes too much sense for them to do, in my opinion. But they do allow this server to exist. They're fully aware of it, and unless my memory's mistaken me, I believe they even gave some help to the team that runs P99. Now, I've heard things over the years. I've never experienced it myself, but I have heard some things about, you know, that some of the GMs for P99 are a little rough, or this or that, or you know, things have happened over the years. I think those kind of things are natural, though, when you're not ran by a company that has a PR department, etc., to keep you in check. I mean, it's bound to happen when you're kind of loose on your own, that maybe every once in a while some things that might seem a little shady to the average gamer might happen, so it's not really that shocking. I did eventually save up enough coin to get myself a bunch of bag upgrades, and I did make it to level 3 within this first night of playing. And P99 still has all the charm, all the magic it always has, and hopefully always will have, because this is a little chunk, a little piece of nostalgia that you can return to whenever you want and play and remember the good old days of MMORPGs. And I can only hope, even with a lot of confidence that I do have, that Pantheon Rise of the Fallen captures this magic. Obviously, nobody can release a game like EverQuest was in 1999. Those days are over. However, the magic can be captured, and from my play sessions and from what I can publicly talk about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, it does have this magic. Now, it uses different ways to capture it and make you feel the way you did playing EverQuest. It has new tricks up its sleeves, but the ultimate goal is, of course, achieving this same nerdy, addictive, fun, classically spirited MMORPG that so many other developers and so many other projects have tried to make or to replicate unsuccessfully. And I do believe that a big part of that is most MMOs are made to make money. They're not made for the love of the genre, or they're not made for the love of MMOs. They're made for money, making money, which, you know, I get it. Yeah, that's the point, right? When you have a company, when you're running a game and you're making the game, you gotta make money. That is obviously important. But EverQuest wasn't necessarily designed to make a bunch of money. They didn't even really think it would be that successful. What they made it for was, it was a game they personally wanted. It was a game that they thought at least enough people would love and enjoy that it would turn some money and they'd be able to sustain themselves. These days, if the MMO doesn't make buku amounts of money, then they're firing people, they're, you know, shortening their team, and they're putting the game in maintenance mode already. And that's just kind of sad. How much money do you need to make? And is your MMO a passion project or not? And can an MMO be super successful and do both? Can it be a passion project and make buku amounts of money? I don't have the answer for that. I believe it can. I believe you can be successful, but I'm not sure if an MMO that captures this true spirit can be super successful, as in like 30 million players. I just don't know if there's that many people. There should be, but I'm not certain there is. In any case, P99 is a great time. I can't dedicate myself to play it all the time, but I do plan on popping back on here making content, especially if you guys like this video. It would be cool to go to Crushbone to see some stuff. So if you're on the green server, especially if you have a lower level character and you want to run around with me, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe we can pick out one night a week that we could play P99. That might be fun. Just let me know what you think. And I hope you enjoyed my talk about P99, about MMOs, and watching me play a little bit of P99. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Old school MMOs, MMOs in general, anything RPG related, JRPGs, CRPGs, and even tabletop RPGs is what we cover here on this channel. Drop that like for the YouTube algorithm, and until next time, my friends, God bless and happy gaming.